I have a wad of bad cables that I should probably wrap, but each cable has a problem with it either at pin 1, 2, or 3. So I'm going to test the tester using these bad cables. Test out some PA. Turnarounds, SIN, a DI box, indicator lights, battery life with the sound bullet. You can totally do that. How's it going? My name is John Clark, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing, testing, and giving my overall opinion on the sound bullet from Sonnect Audio. I want to start with saying I'm in no way endorsed by Sonnect Audio for this review. I bought the sound bullet with my own money just like everybody else. Now, the reason why I'm doing this review is because my buddy Andy called me. He said, hey, you should check out this product. It's fantastic. I did, and I love it. And if you're someone that's looking at the price point and you're kind of on the fence, like, I don't know, that's a little steep for a cable tester, this video is for you. I thoroughly test, the hell out of the sound bullet. I went through the manual with it and did all the things in the manual that it says you can do with it. And I can tell you right now, it's worth every single penny. If you're a working professional and you rely on these kind of tools for your job, and you're maybe a legacy user of the Q-Box, the sound bullet is the natural evolution to cable testers, and I think every working professional will only be that much better having something like this, on their hip right next to their Leatherman. So let's jump right in. I'm going to do a bunch of tests, and we're going to really go through this thing. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Okay, so starting with the case. I think this is really well built and you get your money's worth. This case itself is really sturdy, and they even give you a carabiner on the back to clip to your harness or your belt or whatever. And it's a nice sturdy metal carabiner. On the side of the case, there's actually a 1/4-inch jack built into the case so that you can put your 1/4-inch cable in there and store it nicely. And the top flap, I can even do it with one hand, is a magnet, and the magnet is pretty good. It doesn't just easily fall off, but I could still open it up with one hand if I needed to. Super well thought out. Now, if I pull the sound bullet out of its case, we can dig in a little deeper. Okay, so looking at the front, we see a 1/4-inch TS jack, an 1/8-inch TS jack, the signal select button for a 1K sine wave or pink noise. Below that, right here, we can route that tone to either the internal speaker or out of the sound bullet to another device. Below that, I have a level button, level switch, so I can change the level that I'm sending that same signal, -10, -40, -20. Next to that, you guys will see a peak signal indicator meter. This is just a little built-on meter there to see if we're clipping or not. On the side, we have a charging port and power switch and a volume knob to control the level to the speaker. And on this side, we have a cable tester for XLR, and we can line check pins 1, 2, and 3. The first test we're going to do with our sound bullet is we're going to use it for one of its primary functions, and that is testing out some XLR cable. So on the sound bullet itself, we're going to turn this on, and if you press and hold the select button, we're going to go from tone generator mode to cable test mode. And as you can see, one light will be lit up to indicate the pin that we're going to test and make sure it's a complete circuit. So if there's a break anywhere in the cable, we would know which pin that is on. And to cycle through that, we're going to hit the route to button. So pin 2, pin 3. As such, the first thing we're going to do in this test is, this is a good cable. I'm going to hook this up, and this will be the control cable. All pins should show as good. And then I have a wad of bad cables that I should probably wrap, but each cable has a problem with it either at pin 1, 2, or 3. So I'm going to test the tester using these bad cables. Again, first things first, we're going to do a control. Pin 1, good. 2, good. 3, good. And this has passed the test of the control. So we know the tester is doing what it should be doing. And let's grab a cable. Now I have 3 cables, and then each one, it's either pins 1, 2, or 3. So let's give it a test. Okay, pin 3, good. Pin 1, bad. Pin 2, good. Pin 1, bad. So we know this cable is bad, and there's a break somewhere in the cable at pin number 1. The next cable, let's see. This is a 50-footer too. Pin 1, good. This time pin 2 is bad, and pin 3 is good. Pin 1, good. Pin 2, bad. Pin 3, good. Put it back to 1. And now, to really make sure that the cable test part of this is working great, process of elimination, this last cable, it must be a problem on pin 3. So the cable tester not only has to show me there's a problem, it has to show me there's a problem on pin 3. Pin 1, good. Pin 2, good. Pin 3, there's our problem. So the sound bullet works exactly as intended to kind of give you a readout there. You can know if the cable's good or bad, and then you can kind of hunt down where the problem is, and hopefully the break is at the head, because that's the easiest part of the cable to fix. So while using the cable tester to test cable, I started thinking, well, what else could that be used for? And turnarounds. If you have the sound bullet and you have a cable that you know is good, then you can hook up some turnarounds and test your turnarounds and make sure that those are all working the way they should. So I have a female, I'm going to click on there. I have a male-to-male turnaround, I'm going to click on there. And now I'm going to hook up the cable as such, and pin 1, good. 2, good. 3, good. So I know both of these turnarounds right here are good, and I can put those in my box and be confident that they're going to do what they need to do in the field. Okay, now I'm going to use my sound bullet to test out some PA. This is an active Meyer UPA. I'm going to plug this straight in the back without any cabling and see if we can make some noise. Remember, there's no attenuation on this box, so I'm going to set the output level to -40. I'm going to make sure I can hear it here first. Now I should get some pink noise out of this. And then I'm going to switch route to back. And I can, good to go. For this next test, what I'm going to do is check out the loop function on this piece of PA. I'm going to do this because maybe you have several active pieces of PA in line and there's a mistake somewhere in there and you need to make sure, well, if I'm just using the loop through and jumping it, is the loop function on the piece of PA before that, is there something wrong with that, or is there something wrong with the next piece of PA? So I'm going to generate a signal from this console. I'm going to send it to this UPA. I'm going to plug an XLR in the loop out. This would be going to the next piece of PA, and I'm going to plug it into the sound bullet. And what should happen is I should hear noise coming out of the little speaker on here, letting me know that that loop function is doing what it should be doing. Now, I'm standing pretty close to this PA, so being able to hear tone coming out of this and know that it's not, that I'm not just hearing it out of here, I'm going to use burst noise. That way there's a constant interval, and I'm going to generate that with this console. So I'm using burst noise and a 1 second interval. can hear it here. You hear the burst noise. I have a cable plugged into the loop output. And now I'm going to plug that into my sound bullet. And I hear it. I'm going to hold this up to the mic. So that works. That does exactly what I needed it to do for this particular task. Now, you could obviously do the same thing with a cable, and we could pretend that this cable is 200 feet long. Now, obviously, once we get into length, we get into impedance. So what I'm having my output signal set to, minus 10, minus 40, minus 20, is going to be quieter by the time it hits the PA. But for the purposes of this, again, I'm going to have this set at minus 40. This piece of PA could be way away from me, and I need to do a line check and see what is what. So I'm going to plug this in. And I can easily say, like, oh, this cable right here, I'm now going to label it. This is going out to this piece of PA. Does a great job. We can also use the sound bullet to test out a DI box. With the sound bullet, they provide you with a male-to-male 1/4-inch TS item. And I can take this, plug it into the TS jack on the sound bullet, and now the signal generator will output unbalanced through that TS port. There. Now, it should be noted, it's routing it out of the TS port when you select to the speaker on the sound bullet. But you could still turn the volume down on the speaker, and you're still going to be outputting the same value that you select. Okay, so what I'm going to do is send pink noise unbalanced through this 1/4-inch port into a DI box at minus 10 into the console in order to monitor the left and right channels of the DI box, thus testing the DI box. Let's talk battery life with the sound bullet. In order for me to test the battery life on the sound bullet, I had to come up with a test that would be kind of worst case scenario and be a constant drain on the battery within the sound bullet. What I did was I routed the tone generator out of the TS port here, the unbalanced 1/4-inch TS port, and at the same time, the speaker on board was making the same tone. It should be noted, it's routing it out of the TS port when you select to the speaker on the sound bullet. So I figured the power it would take for the tone generator to be on, amplify the onboard speaker, and then send that out of the TS port at minus 10. That would be a huge constant drain on the battery. I did that, and I sent it into this QL1, and the entire time it was coming out, pink noise was coming out of this Fostex, and I was just going about my day as this was blaring in the background, and I was just waiting for that pink noise to shut off so I could come check it and see what the time was and if this was off. What I found was the pink noise shut off at 2 hours, 48 minutes, and 53 seconds, and that's when I got to it, so probably 2 hours, 48 minutes, and 30 seconds, around there. And again, that's just like worst case scenario. Who would ever turn it on and just leave it like that constantly, right? There is a little blinking light on the signal section, and it blinks rapidly to show you that, hey, the battery's, it's dead. Again though, for a device that is USB powered, I don't need a battery. It takes 1 hour to be fully charged, And then at its absolute worst, it will run for 2 hours, 48 minutes, and 53 seconds. That's very, very impressive. Okay, so going through the manual on what this cable tester can do, one of the first things we see is that it has a 48 volt phantom power check on it. There's a couple indicator lights here, and in this next scenario, I'm gonna say maybe I'm at the stage and I have a couple overheads that are condensers, and one of them I'm not seeing on the desk. So I need to verify, hey, is that microphone faulty or is phantom power not present? So I'm gonna send phantom power from this on channel 1 to the cable tester, and we're gonna see those indicator lights turn on. So let's do that right now. Phantom power on. Okay, so on this cable tester, we can see that pins 2 and 3 light up when phantom power is present. We could also use the sound bullet to test the 48 volt circuit on just regular analog stuff. Pop the sound bullet right in, and 48 volt phantom on. And as you can see, the 2 lights off, on. We know that's good to go. Additionally, in the manual, it states that if voltage is less than 48 volts, in between a range of 24 to 44, then those lights are gonna kind of dim and let you, as the operator, know that you're getting less than 48 volts sent to wherever that needs to go. Also, super helpful. Okay, so getting towards the end of the tests here, but one of the best tests, and I think this is where the sound bullet really shines, is its ability to do a full line check. So we can combine all of the other elements from this to do a full line check, either through a stage box, through a cable, straight into a preamp, however you want to do it. I could send signal from this to the console, see that signal, listen to it, verify the tone. Then I can also send phantom power back to this device, and that will check the cable and infrastructure all the way to the device and verify that that's intact. So that's really cool, and I'm gonna show you that now. So I have a cable hooked up to channel 1 of the console, and the other end of it, I'm going to hook up to the sound bullet. I'm going to send tone down the line, and I can look over and I can see this metering on channel 1. So I know we got it there. I can even bring up the channel. So we know that's good. So now I'm going to go on the console and I'm going to send phantom power down the line. And with this cable, as we can see here, only one of the phantom power lights is on. So having one of the phantom power lights on and not both of them is telling me, hey, you got a problem. And this is one of the bad cables earlier that I wanted to use for this exact test. So let's do that same test with a cable that we know is good. All right, so now I have a cable I know is good hooked up to channel 1 of the console, and the other end of it is hooked up to my sound bullet. And I'm going to generate noise from it. So we are sending noise down the line. I can hear the pink noise. That is what I think. Also, maybe something crackling could get buried in that pink noise. A 1K tone, we would know if there was cracking or something else in there. Now I'm going to send phantom power to it. Both lights come up. So these 2 red lights pretty much tell you what the cable tester lights do. If 2 lights are on, that means everything's good to go, the line is okay. If 1 light is on pin 2 but not pin 3, then we know pin 3 is defective. If there's no light if there's no light on pin 2, but there's a light on pin 3, then we know pin 2 is defective. And if there's no lights at all on it, then we know pin 1 is a problem, or they're all a problem. So that's awesome. If you have phantom power and your sound bullet, you can do a complete line check. I would use that on a stage box, checking out the preamps on the stage box, making sure that they're good all the way to the desk and back. It's cool because you don't need a cable. I could literally have it set to and just plug it straight in to channel 1 and then do the same line check, and now I'm just checking my channel strip, so I could do the maintenance on my consoles that way. That'd be fantastic. If I was in a club and we had a little bit of downtime and the kind of setup at the stage was similar every night, on the downtime I would use this and line check everything at the stage all the way through back to the desk. And that way I knew, hey, like Friday night's coming up, we're good to go, like all systems checked. Even if you didn't have a day to prepare, but you had enough time in your set to check all of the stage inputs and everything around the room, you could do this. The A1, A2 team, A1 could be at the desk, making sure he's seeing tone, monitoring that. A2 could be at the other end of the line and verifying that 48 volt kind of readout there. So again, that's where I think it really shines, is the ability to just line check all the way through, from the cable all the way back to the console, all the way through the channel strip, and you know there's not any problems there. Okay, so this one is just silly and just for fun, but hey, you can do it. And that is, what if I wanted to turn the cable tester into just a little speaker for me to listen to music? You totally can. If you're like me and you just have a bunch of random cables, this is a 1/4 inch TS to 3.5 millimeter TRS cable, and we can go mono in on the 1/4 inch jack onto the sound bullet, and then I'm going to plug the 1/8 inch cable into my cell phone and just turn that magic bullet into a little boombox. So, and turn it on, and the volume knob right here. So you can totally do that. Now I have a little speaker if people want some audio. I love the sound bullet. As far as the price, I don't know anybody over at Sonnect Audio, but I'd be willing to bet that they're all industry professionals, because this was designed from the viewpoint of a working industry professional, and it improved on everything that I didn't like about the Q-Box. Now, Sonnect Audio, I would also be willing to bet if it were me or you or somebody else that wanted to R&D a product like this, there's tons of costs that go with that. I'd be willing to bet that Sonnect Audio isn't, like a Mackie, Behringer, Radial, like a giant kind of firm. I bet you it's a very small boutique kind of place, but that's also good because they can give that much more attention to QC and really just refine a quality product, and that's what they have done. So if this video has made or influenced any audio engineer out there to buy one of these and have it in their kit, then it's only improving the industry. So I love this. Thanks for watching.
Remember to like and subscribe.